Welcome to another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Ian Cameron, Conor Mack with you, ready to break down the Monday college basketball slate. We are going to do the 5 games on the main board of the Monday card, and then we'll do some Q&A and some opinions on the added board after that. It'll be a very quick show, and then we'll get on out of here. Simple as that. It was a good weekend overall, Conor Mack. I think the best bets for the most part were good. Monmouth ended up winning outright. They were the best bet I had on the Pub Hub, winning outright against Drexel. Like I said, just keep betting on the Monmouth Hawks. They are undervalued after that brutal start. And as a result, you've been able to cash in with them each game. How was the weekend for you, my friend?
Yeah, it was good. It's normal. Yesterday was even better. Saturday was up and down. It started out really hot. Then I got cold there for a minute, but still was up a little bit. And yesterday was good. I went 3-1 yesterday, so I'm ready to roll. Short card. I do have a couple bets today.
All right. How about this game? It's actually just started. It's like 2-3 minutes into the game. Tarleton State and Texas-Arlington. Tarleton State was 2-point road favorites, 129.5 the total. I definitely agreed with the under. It should be low-scoring game. Neither team is particularly great offensively. We know that you're not going to get a whole boatload of pace either. I wanted to bet Tarleton as well, and a small little tiny bet on Tarleton because I do think they can get the win here. I'm not overly enamored with what I've seen out of the Mavericks this year. So Tarleton and under were the ways I was looking. Did you end up involved here, Conor, in this game?
No, I didn't bet anything here. Two teams I really don't want as much. Arlington did just cover and win. What was that? Yeah, against I forget who it was, because before that they lost to Cal Baptist. I kind of want to lean them. They played a little bit better at home, but I didn't trust them enough here with Arlington. And I thought Tarleton could even go in there and win. You know, short trip for them right down the road. So I'm off.
All right, remaining games on the slate. We got 5 games on the main board. Duke and Miami, ACC matchup, ESPN, part of Big Monday. Miami 3-point home favorites, 146 the total in this game. Duke coming off a big win against North Carolina over the week. I was surprised it was that low scoring with those two teams, which wasn't good for me because I took the over there. Duke ended up getting the victory in a very good defensive battle, though it was 63-57. Neither team shot well. Duke was only 24 of 61 and wasn't any better for North Carolina, 24 of 66 from the field. Rebounding was a huge advantage for Duke. I mean, Duke was plus 15 rebounding margin. That ended up being the difference. Neither team shot well, but when you're going to get that many opportunities, certainly you're going to have the chance to win the game when you get that many second, third looks, and Duke was able to get that. Now we'll see how they fare here. Tough turnaround, right? Big rivalry win against North Carolina. You're going on the road now for 2 days later to take on Miami, so it's a tough turnaround. Miami coming off a very impressive road win at Clemson, handing the Tigers their first home loss of the season, 78-74. We got to give props to our guy, our comrade, Dabby Cab, who liked Miami in that game on Saturday, said they were going to hand Clemson their first home loss, and they did just that. I really love this Hurricanes team. I've always been a fan of Jim Larinaga. Great coach. George Mason now here at Miami. He's done a great job with this team. The one concern is, look, with the Duke rebounding dominance that they had against North Carolina, they could have that here because Miami's a little bit of a small team. Keep that in mind. But they do have excellent guard play. They handle the basketball well, led, of course, by Isaiah Wong. They're an excellent offensive team, and it's shown in their results where they've been basically pretty much a given that they're going to get 70, if not 80 points in most games. I'm still not sold on Duke on the road, to be quite honest with you. I mean, other than the win against a horrible Georgia Tech team, they lost at Virginia Tech. They lost at Clemson. They barely won by a single point, laying a big number at Boston College. They lost to NC State. Just not good enough on the road here for Duke consistently. And you go from that big win at home against your rival to going on the road for 48 hours later, taking on Miami. Not an easy situation here for Duke. I like Miami here around the -3 in this game. I laid the points, and certainly I like the over as well because Miami certainly is a team that's going to look to push the pace. Offensively, they're pretty solid. If you look at the series history, the game in Duke was kind of low scoring, but I think this one might be a little bit more points back and forth here. And keep in mind, too, Miami has covered 4 straight head-to-head meetings versus Duke. Duke hasn't won by more than 4 points in any recent meeting against Miami, so keep that in mind. What do you think here, Conor? Duke, Miami?
Yeah, Miami though hasn't won by more than 2 either since 2017. These games normally are tight. That's why the side just a little bit scares me, but I think it's Miami or nothing here. And maybe you go money line if you don't really want this that's stretched out to now to 3. But I think it's them here good at home. But I like the total better. They're at home here the last 17, 13-4. I think they can get it done. Duke should be able to be better with Roach now back in the lineup, even though, yeah, I don't trust him on the road. But I think this game in the end could be close. So I'm gonna play the over. And maybe I look at Miami or lean small bet with them on the side.
All right, we have a case for the worst offense in college basketball right now. Next up here with Green Bay, the Phoenix, taking on the Milwaukee Panthers. Milwaukee, 16.5-point home favorites, 142 the total. I mean, crazy as this is to say, I'd probably take the favorite before the underdog. I mean, that's how bad it is with Green Bay right now. It's just ridiculous how pathetic they are offensively. 38 points against Robert Morris on January 21st, 50 against Northern Kentucky, 46 against Wright State. Wright State's not exactly a great defensive team, and they only scored 46 against Wright State. 53 on Saturday in a 15-point loss against IUPUI. This team is it's just a hideous offensive basketball from Wisconsin Green Bay. Look at the field goal makes the last 4 games. 11 for 51, 19 for 43, 16 for 54, 18 for 52. I mean, this is brutal that what we're seeing offensively from Green Bay. So I don't want any part of Green Bay right now. They're 0-10 and straight up and 2-8 against the spread their last 8 games. They failed to cover 8 straight. Milwaukee has been able to beat down some teams at home. They beat down Youngstown State very impressively, 88-75. Their offense is pretty good. Defensively, they've had some ups and downs, but they might not need to work too hard defensively to shut down this putrid Green Bay squad. So I'd lean. I haven't bet the game. You can't bet the over with Green Bay, and they've gone 4 straight under. I guess I'd lean under because of that, but Milwaukee plays pretty fast. Milwaukee's pretty good offensive team. So if the game does stay under, it's going to have to be probably because of just another wretched shooting night from Green Bay, which they're capable of. So I'd lean slightly to the favorite, but nothing I bet. What do you think here, Connor?
Shout out to our guy, Arthur Mead Jr., newest hub member. Shout out to my guy. Thanks for coming a member, man. I appreciate it. He supported us always throughout the years, so I got to give a shout out to our guy, Arthur Mead. Yeah, Milwaukee laying the numbers just seems crazy. They've been playing good basketball, though. I mean, I'm not going to take it. Maybe their team total gets there, but I had to say, if you're looking the flip side, it could get over. But at 62.5, I'd be on Green Bay's team total under. If I were to look here, they got 70. Against Youngstown, who can slip defensively. But other than that, they haven't got there in a long time. I'm not going to bet it, but that's what I'd look at.
All right. Next up here, we've got Idaho State, Northern Arizona. Northern Arizona, 3-point home favorites, 138 being the total in this one. Interesting matchup here in the Big Sky Conference is where this one is taking place. You look at it here in this one, Northern Arizona, they've always been one of the bottom feeders, really, of the Big Sky. That being said, they've been very undervalued from a point spread perspective of late. 6-1 ATS their last 7. They went on the road to Montana State and Montana as bigger dogs, and they were right there in both games, but they lost by a point. Heartbreaking losses. Now this could go one of two ways. Either, we're playing better basketball. We've had so many every game that they've lost recently, they've been right there. Portland State 1-point loss. Colorado or CS Sacramento State 3-point loss. Idaho 5-point loss. Eastern Washington, who are undefeated, by the way, still in the Big Sky, only a 3-point loss to them. They have been right there in every single game. They're laying points now. That's the difference. They've been dogs in a lot of these games. Idaho State on the flip side, they're coming off a very tough loss against Weber State, 72-71 in overtime. Prior to that, they beat Idaho in overtime, 95-91. I don't think this is a great spot for the Bengals of Idaho State. You're coming off back-to-back grueling overtime games. If Northern Arizona doesn't have, their heads, slumped and heads hanging after these 2 tough losses on the road to the Montana schools, I think this is finally their night. I think this is finally their spot to get a win and get off the schneid and get back in the win column. Keep in mind, this 3-9 on the road straight up is Idaho State. They've not been very good away from home. So I like Northern Arizona a little bit here. It's a smaller bet for me in this game because I was hoping the number would be a little bit better than this, but 3.5. Northern Arizona's lost some heartbreakers, but they've been right there. I think they finally get over the hump. Idaho State going on the road after back-to-back overtime games. I could see them maybe hitting a wall a little bit in this game tonight. So NAU for me, the Lumberjacks as the short home favorite. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lay it with Northern Arizona. I'm not gonna lay even 3.5 with this team. Not that they play defensive. I think they've played better of late, and even the last couple. I think that was a 1-point game. What I've noticed though is this total. I thought was solid at this 138. If I were to look, I'd look over here. Idaho State hasn't been good defensively. The over's been great to them, especially on the road. Northern Arizona. That last game was tight with Montana, like I mentioned, 67-66. But this is a team that can get over the total. So at 138.5, I'd look over in this basketball game.
All right, Big 12, Texas and Kansas. We've got Kansas 4-point home favorites, 146 the total in this game. I like Kansas here laying a short number. I mean, obviously we saw what happened against Iowa State. So I was happy to see that. I was on Iowa State on Saturday against Kansas, and it was a whitewash, start to finish. All Iowa State, 68-53. And what made it difficult for Kansas is, they had just an incredible performances from multiple players. How about the St. Bonnie transfers? Oshunashuni, the big guy, and of course, Jaron Holmes, who also played at St. Bonaventure, and they were massive for Iowa State on Saturday in that victory. They both got double digits in scoring. Trey King scored 10. You had Caleb Grill with 9, Tamin Lipsey with 9, Gabe Kalsher ended up adding 8 points. It was a nice effort. The defense was solid throughout that game, and Kansas, ran into Iowa State in a place where Iowa State's very good. But I think they can bounce back here in this game, Kansas, and they're laying a short number. Texas has been a little bit better lately. They're coming off the wins against Baylor and Kansas State, but back-to-back big wins there. The K-State game was down to the wire Saturday. Now you're going on the road for a second straight game. Saturday to Monday turnaround, that's not easy, and you're probably walking into a place where the home team is going to be in a pretty angry, pretty foul mood after what happened on Saturday against the Iowa State Cyclones. So at -4, again, this is a number and a point spread. You don't often see Kansas this cheap at home. Oftentimes they're laying at least 6, if not 7, 8, 9, a higher number than this. But because Texas has been playing a little bit better lately, you're getting a cheap number with Kansas. I think Kansas is the side for me here, -4 in a bounce back spot after the Iowa State shoddy performance. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I think the line's, about right here. Kansas, after the horrible loss, you got to think they shoot it better. I've talked about the last couple of times, though, with Kansas, this team just isn't deep. They 4 of the 5 guys, and even McCullough usually plays almost 30. Although 4 other guys play like 35 minutes. Wilson plays almost the whole game every time. So there's not a lot of depth with them. Obviously, they're really good. Dick needs to be a lot better. They just shot it horrible on Saturday against Iowa State. It's tough. Texas, they've played them tough, the last couple of years. Texas has been tight with them. So tough for me. Spots all Kansas back here at home. Maybe first half with them. I think they come out shooting it better, real hot. I'd look at that maybe, but I think in the end they'll be off.
All right, next up we have Weber State and Northern Colorado here in the Big Sky. Another Big Sky matchup here on a Monday night. Weber State 1.5-point road favorites, actually one down to pick them in some spots. 141.5 being the total in this game. Northern Colorado, they've lost 3 in a row. They've had their struggles. Weber State, meanwhile, they've won 4 of their last 5 games. They're coming off an overtime road win against Idaho State, 72-71 on Saturday. It's actually the 4th straight road game for Weber State. So is it going to catch up to them here, taking on Northern Colorado? I think there's people that see that situationally it's a pretty good spot for the Bears. But, Weber State probably is the better squad, but Weber State, you wonder how much gas is in their tank, right? This is going to be the 4th straight road game for them. after an overtime game against Idaho State. It definitely feels like they could run into some problems here tonight in a tough turnaround spot such as this. Northern Colorado, at the very least, at home hasn't been that bad. They beat Idaho in their last home game. They lost to Eastern Washington, but they're by far the best team in the conference. They also had the loss to Montana, although it was a competitive loss by 5. I definitely could see why there's some interest in Northern Colorado, even though Weber State's played good basketball. This could be a spot where they run into some difficulty playing their 4th straight road game. I think the over makes some sense. Weber State's gone over in 3 straight games. Northern Colorado, they've trended under, but it's not because of their pace. They're 77th in tempo in the country, and they're not a great defensive team. And the series history has trended over the total as, like I said, 3 straight head-to-head meetings with Weber State and Northern Colorado have gone over the total as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here would be the over more than anything else, over 141.5. But I would have to lean to Northern Colorado because the situational aspect of this basketball game is pretty strong in favor of Northern Colorado and very much against Weber State. Like, even though the Wildcats are the better team, when you're talking 4th road game in a row and you're coming off an overtime game on Saturday and then you're having to play Monday night and also in the altitude being in Colorado, that's pretty tough for Weber State. They could be up against it here. What do you think here, Conor? Weber State, Northern Colorado.
Yeah, this one's tough. Weber State has just been tough for me to figure out. They were scoring a lot less, kind of unders, and lately you just mentioned they've gone over. And their offense, they're slow. And like free throws, they're 8th in the country. They almost hit 79%. I mean, they're almost 35 from 3. Those stats have gotten better lately. Northern Colorado, better at home, better at the offensive team, but defensively, they're not very good. So, yeah, this game was just a wash for me. I'm off.
All right, Q&A, and then we'll get into games we haven't talked about yet on the show that we like. I'll go quick because I don't have a ton on the added board. I'm on Lafayette Holy Cross over at 126. It's up to 126.5. I think that game can get up and over the number. Southern Alabama State, another over for me, 141.5. And I'm on a couple of dogs here. Bethune-Cookman plus 7.5 against Texas Southern. Also the over in that game, and Florida A&M plus 10 against Prairie View. So there we go. Those are my looks on the added board. Conor, anything on the added board that you like?
Yeah, I did look at Florida A&M a little bit. I think they cover that. You know what? I'm taking a team. It's ugly. Mississippi Valley State. I'm taking the 12.5. This team in conference has been covering lately. Close games. Alcorn State, yeah, I've been winning, but them as a 12-point favorite, I mean, they are the better team. They probably win this game. Mississippi Valley still can't win a basketball game, but I think 12.5 is too much. There's still some 12.5s out there. I took it with Mississippi Valley State. I kind of leaned under in that one. The other one, I think Southern 6.5, but I don't really want to lay points on the road. I think they could beat Alabama State there, but I just didn't want to lay the 6.5. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at too from the Alcorn State perspective. Their recent wins. They had a 10-point win, 8-point win. They lost at Southern, 3-point win at Grambling, 3-point win against Pine Bluff in their last game. They're not winning by margin. That's the key element here. A lot of Alcorn State's victories have been very close games. And then you're right, Mississippi Valley State, they haven't been winning a ton of games, but they got to feel a little bit more confidence and a little boost in that department after beating Jackson State on Saturday outright as 10.5-point dogs. They won 82-78. So if anything there, you're going to get a little bit of a confident team now that they finally got a win under their belt. And like I said, like I just mentioned, Alcorn State hasn't been winning games by margin. So looking at the dog might be worth it there in that game. No question.
I think they can hang around.
Yeah, no question. We do have one question. Dram Yankee, UMass Lowell over. I mean, UMass Lowell is generally a team I like to lean toward the over. That's kind of a pace war, that matchup tonight taking on Hartford. UMass Lowell, of course, they're a pretty solid offensive team. They're going to push pace. Hartford's going to slow it down a bit. Hartford's one of those teams, they're very bad defensively, which could help the over, but they're also not great shooting the basketball. They're a horrible offensive team. So which one is going to give in that game ends up being the question. But I ended up staying off that game. But UMass Lowell in general, yeah, I'm never going to say it's a bad idea to look at the over there, but I didn't bet it.
Yeah, a ton of points too. Yeah. 16.5 I thought was good. It's dropped mostly 14.5 everywhere. Hartford can maybe hang around.
Yep, no doubt. All right, there we go. That's about it. Yeah, we mentioned Holy Cross, Lafayette. As far as the side goes in that game, Lafayette laying points on the road. Like I say with Lafayette, I like them usually when they're catching points, not when they're laying points. I actually lean Holy Cross a bit, but I'm just sticking to the total there over the 126. That's the only bet I made on that game there, Isaiah. There we go. All right, good stuff. That is the wrap. That's it for I told you it'll be a short show. We don't have a whole lot of games. We'll definitely have a longer show tomorrow. There's no doubt. The Tuesday slate, we've got a bunch of interesting games, a lot of the power conference teams in action tomorrow night. So make sure you join us tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of the show. 128 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We'll be back with best bets to wrap it up right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke. Southtown 101. Manscaped.com. Promo code PubSports. 20% off your purchase. Lawnmower 4.0 or any Manscaped product. 20% off with promo code PubSports. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Monday edition to get the week started with college basketball net profit. Conor Mack, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, as much as I like this over, obviously, in Duke, Miami, it gets there. I'll take an ugly dog, Mississippi Valley State, plus 12.5.
There we go. Mississippi Valley State, plus 12.5 against Alcorn State. Best bet there for Conor Mack on this Monday slate. Best bet for me, again, slim pickings, not the biggest card on by any stretch of the imagination, but you got to go with something, right, for best bet. I'm going to go with that Lafayette Holy Cross over 126. Is you can still find actually a couple books have 126. It's 126.5 at some other books. I think you're going to see enough points. Holy Cross pushes the tempo. Lafayette doesn't. Lafayette slows it down, but I think the efficiency of Lafayette will show up here. Holy Cross isn't the greatest defensive team, and I think you'll get them on their home floor able to score a bit more, and I think the pace will be a little bit more to Holy Cross's liking. The efficiency will be good enough from the Lafayette side, even though they slow it down. They play some solid defense that you'll get enough points, and it's a very low total. It's not like we need a shootout. I think we'll get up and over that number. Lafayette, Holy Cross, over 126 for my best bet here for this Monday college basketball slate. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. We will be back tomorrow, Tuesday, once again, for another edition of the show. Hit the like button on the way out. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you again tomorrow for another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.
Palooza 2 on the horizon. We're going to have live shows popping off in the Southtown 101. We're going to have a poker tournament, a par 3 golf tournament, UFC San Antonio on the Saturday night. A lot of excitement. Palooza 2, baby.